This does not look like baked potato soup, Brian.
Welcome to Crocs in the Kitchen.
I'm Jessica.
And I am Brian.
Oh, are you?
Yes, I is.
Anyway, what are we doing here today? I forgot.
Well, Jessica, if you remember, a little while ago, we interviewed Kim and Nelson Campbell from PlantPure Nation.
Yes.
And they had some exciting things that they were telling us about, and they shipped us a couple of cool things as well.
Yes. If you haven't seen the interview, it's actually a dual episode of Crocs in the Kitchen and
I'm Losing It, the podcast.
So you can either watch the video or you can listen to just the audio as a podcast. So we'll link to those below. Seriously, these guys are the real deal. Like, they have inspired me so much, and Brian as well. So these meal kits, so they've sent us several of their new meal starter kits. They are basically kits that include everything that you'll need to make the meal, except for a few items of like fresh produce and stuff like that you'll add in as well. But here's the thing, guys. This isn't some product that we're trying to sell you guys. We are not trying to get you to buy these for our benefit at all. And even the Campbells they're not trying to make money off of doing this. They are trying to help fund their mission. And when you buy these, not only will you get tasty food to eat yourself, but they are using the profits to help fund their mission of bringing healthy food access to underserved communities.
Yep.
Which is just such a cool mission. So please check out the interview we did with them because they talk a lot more about that, and it's such a great cause to get behind. And you get to eat tasty food. So where can you go wrong? But these would be great, these meal starter kits, for somebody who, you know in your family maybe that wants to do plant-based. They're all vegan, but doesn't really know how to cook as well or doesn't really know what they're doing. These will be a great start for them. But today, we're going to do something special.
Yes.
So we were actually inspired because Kim Campbell is a very, very amazing and talented chef. And she actually has been making, so there, on the back of each packet, you'll get a recipe, right? But she's been making other recipes to go with the packets. So she's been pushing her creativity and experimenting to take these packets and make additional recipes that are on their website. And I'll put a link directly to where you can find those as well. So if you bought any of these packets, and you're like, okay, I made the potato soup. It was really good. What else could I do with this packet? There are other options. Actually, with this one, she's made a cheese sauce and she has made scalloped potatoes.
Yes.
But today, I was inspired by that, and I decided to challenge Brian. I was like, you can come up with a good recipe. So he chose this meal kit to make and come up with his own little recipe.
Yes, I did.
So today I'm going to make it because I'm the rule follower. I like following instructions. I love this kind of thing. I'm going to make it this way and show you guys the loaded potato soup. And then Brian is going to make his own little special recipe. So let's get to it. All right, so up next it says to take a medium pan, add the cold water, potatoes, onions, and celery that I just chopped, and cook on medium heat until the potatoes are tender, about 15 to 20 minutes, then turn off the heat and set aside. So let's do that. All right, so now that we've got got everything cooking back there, let's go ahead and make the sauce in the blender that actually makes this into a soup. So this packet has everything that you're gonna need other than what we just used there and some almond milk, which I have here. And yeah, it has everything in the little packet. That's the cool thing about these starter kits. They're like the hamburger helper of plant-based cooking. You can literally just use this little packet, chop up some veggies, and then voila, you have a dinner, even for someone like me who doesn't really cook a lot. So let's go ahead and get this. It says I'm supposed to, let's see, place the contents of and the dairy-free milk into a blender, blend for 2 minutes until smooth and creamy. So let's do that. I'm excited to open this up and see what it smells like. Ooh. All right, so if you can see in there, that's what it is. And then I'm gonna dump it into the blender. You ready? Okay, so everything is in the blender now that was in the packet. And then I'm simply going to add the almond milk, which I think you can use any kind of unsweetened plant milk that you want to add, but we always have almond milk on hand. And peef, I need my headphones. And we're going to blend. Okay, so I don't really feel like we needed to do 2 minutes because I feel like it was blended in like 30 seconds in my Vitamix, but for good measure, we did it for about 2 minutes, and now it's steamy. It smells good. So yeah, now we're just gonna wait for those veggies to cook and then add it all together, and soup will be ready soon. Okay, so you can see that is nice and tender. It's starting to thicken up already. We're gonna add the sauce in, and then it's time for soup. And just like that, we have soup. You want to try this out?
Yes.
All right. I topped it with a little smoked paprika because that's what the picture has, so I thought it would be fun. It's very creamy.
Very, very creamy. Has a great texture because the potatoes aren't just mushed. And the celery is there to add a little crunch. The onion's there to add a little crunch. And even the smoked paprika on top makes it just very, very nice. All in all, top notch.
Yeah, and you could probably like go a little less longer on the potatoes if you want more of a chunky potato texture. But I think this is perfect because it's got some chunks of potato, but it's also got like that creamy mush mashiness kind of.
Yeah. Good stuff all around, but now it's my turn.
So we're going to see what Brian can come up with using the packet, but not following the recipe, doing his own thing. So I'm excited to see what you come up with.
Let's do it. Okay, so it's my turn to make something of this. The baked potato soup was absolutely fabulous. And I was thinking, what could I do that was different, but kind of in the same vein? I know I could take this and do some really, really crazy things with it, but I decided that I was going to go for something interesting. I wanted to go for like a party favorite of loaded potato skins. But Jessica was like, well, it's more like a twice baked potato. And so I'm going with twice baked loaded potato skins. That's what I'm going with, okay? But what we have here is 6 small-ish potatoes that we have baked at 350 degrees for 1 hour. And of course, we have our PlantPure baked potato soup. We have 1 medium, slightly largish yellow onion, a head of broccoli, and you will need some plant-based milk of some kind, some non-dairy milk. We are using almond milk for this one. And for garnish, we are using some smoked paprika and some chopped up green onions. Just, to make it look fancy. But yeah, let's actually get to cooking this thing and get it together. The first thing we will need to do for this recipe is prep the vegetables. So that of course means chopping the onion. Now, I did a fairly small dice for this. You don't want giant chunks of onion in it, but you also don't want it to be too small that it doesn't add texture to the potatoes. So just do a fairly small size, whatever you're actually comfortable with. And now it's time to prep the broccoli. Now you may be wondering, Brian, what are you gonna do with this broccoli? Well, I'm about to tell you. So really what you want to do with the broccoli is just sort of chop off the edges of it. Just chop off those really dark green parts, all those little bits and pieces that will come off of there. All the good parts, whenever you're like roasting broccoli that like turn all nice and brown and stuff, those are the parts that you really want. You can get some of the other pieces of the stem, doesn't really matter, because we're going to chop this down just a little bit further even after this. But this is just a great way to sort of get really, really small pieces of broccoli into the dish. Also, save those stems. You can use them for vegetable broth, you can rice them up in a food processor or with a grater of some kind, and you can totally cook them and eat them. They are absolutely delicious and completely healthy as well. So don't you be throwing those away. Now we are going to cook the onion and the broccoli, but we're going to cook the onion first since it'll take a bit longer to actually get down to the right spot where I want it to be. And with this in a dry, quite hot pot, somewhere in the medium-high range, I put in the onion. I didn't add in any water as of yet because I really want those onions to start to caramelize, and that can really only happen when there's a lot of heat. You start throwing on water, it can cool it down, and then you're really just steaming the vegetables. So when they started to stick, that's when I actually poured on the water and steamed up the camera to where you can't see anything. But trust me, I can still see what's going on here off to the side. It's looking pretty good. But if it starts to stick more, add in a little bit more water and deglaze that pan, and then you can start to get some really, really nice color on those onions. And trust me, it just ups the flavor a lot more for this dish. Okay, so when the onions are a nice brown color, just like this, we can go ahead and add in our broccoli. Now, you want to make sure that there's water in the pot or pan for this one, just because we're going to really just steam the broccoli until it's a bit tender and it's not just really, really crunchy. So go ahead and throw that in and get to stirring. After that cooks for a minute or so, you can turn off the heat and you can just let that cool while we prep the potatoes. So as I said before, we used 6 potatoes for this one. Really what you want is a total of 3 pounds. If you want to use larger potatoes, you can totally do that. It's perfectly fine. But since we're going for more of the potato skin, the smaller kind of like party size potatoes, we went for smaller ones here. You can go even smaller, but you really want to get about 3 pounds of potatoes total. Once you have those potatoes cooked and cooled, go ahead and start scooping out the insides until you've got a little bit of potato on the outside just to maintain structure, but the majority of the potato on the inside is completely scooped out. Once the vegetables have cooled and you've got all your potatoes scooped out, it's time to mix this all together. So I opened up that package of baked potato soup starter kit, and I tell you what, it smells really, really good. But just go ahead and throw that into the potatoes dry, and then go ahead and add in the milk that you are choosing to use. Now, I have a cup of almond milk here. You don't necessarily have to use all of it. So I poured in some, mixed it up to see where it was, and then ended up actually using a little bit more just to kind of bring it all together. But you don't have to use all of it, but you can if you want. It's really not that big a deal. You just want to get it to where it's a nice creamy consistency. Also, don't mash this up too much. I mean, I guess you can if you want. It's really not that big a deal as well. But I like to have little bits of potato in there that are good texture and just add a little bit more to the overall enjoyment of the potatoes. Once that's good and mixed, you can go ahead and throw in the vegetables. Give that a good stir, and then we are ready to put these back into the potato skins. Jessica says that it's best to actually use your hands to do this. I don't know, I've never actually stuffed them because she always did them, but she says that it is much easier to do with your hands, so go ahead and give that a shot as well. Besides, it's not cooking if there's not a little bit of mess, right? So go ahead and fill up all the potato skins. You want them really, really overflowing. Trust me, there will be enough to go around for all of these potatoes. You might have a little bit of stuff left over in the bowl as well. But once she got them all stuffed, that's when she goes through and takes a fork and puts little grooves in all of the potatoes. This is really just to add a lot more surface area to the top, and it will brown very, very nicely, and you get these tiny little crunchy bits and these tiny little like crust of potato that forms on the top. You don't have to do this step, but trust me, it does look way better, and I think it tastes a little bit better as well. And finally, before we pop these back into the oven, throw on a little bit of smoked paprika. Just put a little bit on top of each one, and then we are ready to cook again. The dogs are always waiting for me to drop something in the kitchen, but I need to move. There. All right, I'm putting these back in the oven at 350 for 15 minutes just to kind of reheat them through and make everything kind of meld together very nicely. After that, we are going to broil them. Now, broiling is an interesting thing to say the least. So just be very, very careful while doing this because it can go from cooked to burnt really fast. So keep an eye on this. But once they've got a nice brown crust on them, they are ready to eat. So there you have it.
I think you came up with a pretty creative little thing here using the packet.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm pretty excited about this one. This is actually the second batch because we had to do a test batch and make sure it worked out. And you guys, these are really good.
Yeah, I was quite happy. I was thinking like, what can I make that's along the same lines as like the potato soup or like the scalloped potatoes or something like that. And I was like, you know what I would really enjoy would be some like loaded potato skins. And so then when I made them, Jessica was like, well, it's more like a twice baked potato. And I'm like, whatever, fine, go with that. But then we kind of just settled and compromised on the twice baked loaded potato skins.
Get it all in there. Why not?
So there
Why
you go.
Now I will say, so if you don't have these packets, so you can, if you want to buy these packets, again, we're not sponsored by them or anything like that. But if you want to buy these, we'll have a link below. It does go to a really, really great cause. If you are able to purchase some, that would be amazing. So yeah, if you buy that one, you'll be able to make this recipe easy, no problem. If you can't, I know like internationally these don't ship yet. They can only ship in America right now. They're working on other options for international in the future. But if you can't get access to them, then I would honestly suggest, and now correct me if I'm wrong here, I would suggest that instead of mixing in like this, since you don't have this mix, maybe try like a kind of really thick vegan cheese sauce of some sort and mix that in and experiment. Make your own twice baked potatoes because this is just a really cool like concept and idea to go with, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Do you want to like cut this in half?
Yeah. Let's get a knife.
Oh, you're just going for the big knife.
Why not?
Here, I'll let you handle that one.
I'm gonna see if I can get a nice
I don't
clean
like
cut.
using Brian's fancy knives. It scares me.
There you go. Nice clean cut. So you can see I left the potato fairly chunky inside of there, and that was by plan. I know I dropped a little thingamabob. But I don't know. I prefer the texture of that than just doing like a mashed potato with it. But here we go. It's so good.
You need a plate? You look like you need a plate.
Just some of the spring onions fell off, that's all. It's got that lovely crust on top. It's a little bit smoky. It's a little bit cheesy. It's just got really good textures to it. Like, it's fantastic. And not to mention, I mean, you could easily just grab one of these and eat it in a couple of bites and, you know,
Make a mess.
grab some more. I just think, like, this is like great party food to me. I know we're not exactly having a lot of parties right now, but this to me
Did we ever?
No, and especially us. We never had parties. But this is just like really good food for that kind of a setup, you know, and you could easily make this you know, last like even more. You could make a bunch of really small potatoes with scoops of this in there, and like, I mean, all sorts of stuff. All sorts of fun stuff.
I'm just over here chewing like,
I noticed. That's why I kept talking.
It was really good.
That right there, that's you know, spousal mind reading, you know? Just after years of being married, I can tell when she's
When
struggling.
I'm chewing. No, it's super, super good. I'm really proud of what you decided to do with the packet. I hope that Kim and Nelson like your idea, and we can get it added to their website with their list of all their other really great ideas to use with their packets. But yeah, whether you make the potato soup or you make the Brian's loaded baked potato, baked
Twice baked.
Twice baked loaded potato skins. There you go. Whether you make those or you make the soup or you check out any of their others. They sent us a few, and we had the coconut mushroom stew. Oh, that was good.
Top notch.
And then we also have made the mac and cheese, and that was really good. So I'm excited to try out more of them. But definitely check it out. Again, it's all a good cause. Check out the link to our interview with them for more information on what they're doing and all their efforts. Yeah, they're totally selfless, like just passionate people who just
great folks
are just
all
trying
around.
to spread plant-based, you know, to everybody and spread the access to the healthy food, which is really, really important.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I likened talking with them for as long as we did. Kind of like, to me, it was like talking to my aunt or uncle. Like, it felt like we were chatting with family, and we got along so well, and we just understood each other. Like, and it was really trippy, like, just to be able to actually have a great conversation with them. And like, I feel like we really have made some good friends now that will, you know, hopefully we can meet up with in the future.
Yeah, hopefully we can. I want to go cook in their kitchen.
Yeah, right? I want to go hang out with them.
Anyway, I think that's all I got for this one.
All right, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and click the bell that is right next to it so you get notified whenever we post a new video. You can also find us on social media, including Facebook and Instagram.
And check out our website, because we're going to have the printable recipe for the potato skins and the loaded stuff, whatever they are.
Twice baked.
Twice baked loaded potato skins, and we are going to have all the links to everything else that we've talked about as well. So
Yes.
check out the website, crocsinthekitchen.com.
Yes, you can also like and share the video if you want to get this out in front of some other people. You know, we are getting this out before the big old game day that's coming up. So if you want to have yourself a little at-home party,
Just get yourself a nice pile of these and go to town.
Giant pile of potatoes and just go to town. And then, you know, if you got other people around you that eat a standard American diet, and they look over and they see your gorgeous looking potatoes just sitting there, and they're just like, what are those? And you're like, oh, you can't have these. These are my plant-based potatoes.
You're supposed to share them and spread
then
the plant-based.
And then you can be like, okay, fine, you can have one. And then when they've eaten the entire tray, you can be like, and you can eat this way every day. And then that's how you hook them and you get them in there. Either way, folks, I think that's all I got.
That's definitely all I got.
We will see you next time on Crocs in the Kitchen.
Bye.
Bye.